What made you want to go into marketing in the first place?
Well, I've always had a lot of creativity. As a kid, I liked to do arts and crafts. I like to make little greeting cards, and I was the kid that was sitting out in the my dad's office during the summer, like playing on Microsoft Paint. And so I've always had an aptitude for graphic design and marketing stuff. And I really didn't realize how deep my passion was until I started working in the field. I
Mhm.
think that was a great proving ground for telling me, okay, this is what you want to do. Because up until that point, I had kind of dabbled with what I wanted to do. You know, a lot of people going into college, they have no clue what direction they want to head. And I was kind of in that same boat. Um, I thought about maybe becoming a teacher. I did a little bit of substitute teaching. I thought, that might be a possibility. But I figured out that it really wasn't for me. Thankfully, I figured out early. But but I think a combination of having already liked doing that and then kind of diving in headfirst into the field, that's really what propelled me to get where I am now.
So, what you been up to since when did you graduate? And was it April?
Yeah, I think it was the same time as you.
Nice, nice. That's awesome, man. And you have online, right?
Yes, the whole time.
Good. Did you go in as a freshman or as a transfer?
I got my AA in 2019, and then I transferred in and started that way.
Okay, yeah, I did the same thing. I went to Hillsborough Community College at the AA and then did the transfer and then, you know, slowly worked my way through it while working and having two kids. So it took a while, but it was well worth it. And then you did advertising, right? Was it
Yes.
Okay, great.
I actually started out as a PR major, and I was about a year in, and they introduced the advertising program, and I decided to switch majors because it just fit my work that I was currently doing and what I wanted to do in the future. So I figured might as well switch. I ended up eating a couple of courses that I didn't need. I kind of regret that, but there was no way of knowing. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did the PR and then the sports journalism came out, but I was too far into PR. Right. I was like, oh, I think I want to do sports journalism, but I was too far in. I was like, no, I'm not changing now, you know.
yeah, thankfully it came out, and I think I was only maybe 2 semesters in, and I didn't do too great in one of the PR classes, so it ended up working out.
Okay. Great, man. Who was your favorite professor at the advertising school?
Bob Hughes,
He's so good, right? I think we took a class together.
he's
Um,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I read his Rate My Professor, and everybody was like, you got to take this guy. So I was like, okay, I'll take this guy. I'll just wait a semester till the class opens up, and I went in there, and he was great. At one assignment he gave me a zero. I was like, what the heck? And then I reached out and he's like, "Oh, what's your angle? What were you trying to say?" And then I explained where I was going with this, and then he gave me 100 on it. So it's got lucky there. But yeah, yeah, cool, man. So marketing. So you worked as a marketing assistant before you graduated, right? I saw that at the Citizen First Bank.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if you've heard of the Villages. The Villages is the largest retirement community in the world, and they have their own bank. It's actually owned by the Morris family. I was at the time I was working retail and going to school part time, and I really wanted to get into marketing. I had worked at like a copy shop for a little while in high school, and I really hated the retail job, and I was looking for something different. So I thought, well, I've got cash handling experience. Maybe I could become a bank teller.
Yeah.
And I applied for a couple of bank teller jobs, and one of them was at Citizens. I actually applied at Wells Fargo too. I got the job at Wells Fargo, but um, the people at Citizens First Bank, they actually reached out to me after I had got that offer at Wells Fargo, and they said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to do marketing. We noticed during one of your interviews that you had said you were studying for marketing. Would you like to interview for a marketing assistant job?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." That's more what
Nice.
I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was kind of serendipity that I ended up getting the job there. And I was there for a little over 4 years.
Nice. That's great. That's great experience right there, man, you know? For the
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I credit that to propelling me where I am now. I don't think I would be where I am now without having worked in the field in school. I think that was a huge advantage.
Yeah, that's true. I did the same thing when I worked at a law firm as a paralegal. The marketing manager left, and then I just said, "Hey, I'm studying PR," and so I did it on the side, kind of, you know, it's like part-time helping out with PR and marketing for the law firm, even though it was my full-time job. I did it and I put it on my resume because I had the experience, you know, while I was going to school for it, and then they liked it. They didn't have to hire anybody for it, so it was like mutually beneficial. And I think, you know, having that 3 years experience and as a marketer or PR person that helped really, you know, get me my job now.
Absolutely. I think it's a huge leg up, and that's a piece of advice that I give people that are still in school. Yeah, I mean, internships are great, and part-time jobs are awesome, but really try to work hard to get something in the field. And if you can do both, do school and work in your field, then you're going to have a huge leg up on people that are just getting out of college that don't have any related experience. I mean, it's huge.
Huge. Yeah, I agree. Definitely. So after graduation, you started your own design company. How does that come about? Did you always want to be a business owner?
Yeah. Well, my dad's a small business owner. He's been an architectural draftsman for his whole career. And when I was born, like 24 years ago, he decided to go out on his own and start his own small business. And he's been self-employed ever since. He's got a home office. So the inspiration kind of came from him, seeing that he could do the same thing. And I've always wanted to do freelance work. I did some freelance work for family friends and some people at my church. And I thought, well, I could, maybe do some graphic design or marketing stuff on the side. And I was in between jobs over the summer, and I thought, well, now's the perfect time to start something, see if it goes anywhere. So went and got a Google domain for like $12 and
Nice.
set up a little website and Google My Business listing. And yeah, that's been kind of a little side project that I've been working on.
Did you go to the communications on the internet class in your last semester, the one where you have to build a website?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe I did that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were together in that one with where Ritz, Professor Ritz was the main instructor.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what the professor's name was. Yeah, I believe we were in the same class.
Yeah, exactly. That really helped, help figure out how to build a website and all that from scratch, because that was
Yeah,
and so that helped me to get the job that I have now, because now I work at a company that does content management systems, powers websites. So I was like, oh, I kind of know a little bit about this now. So that
exactly. Yeah.
helped. Cool, man. So and then Townley Engineering, how'd you get that?
Yeah, that came out of left field for sure. So I worked at, like I said, I worked at the bank for a little over 4 years. Everything was good. It was smooth sailing, good job. I honestly, I could still be there if I wanted to. But there were two things that were bugging me. There wasn't any upward mobility because it was such a small team. It was me, another colleague, and our supervisor, and that was it. I mean, and my supervisor wasn't planning on going anywhere. So it's not like I would have a chance to level up in that department. And also, the pay just wasn't where I wanted to be at, especially after graduation. It was a good job for where I was at the time. So, it kind of came about that I approached them. I said, hey, are you interested in, giving me a raise, maybe a job title change? And they're like, that's not in the cards right now. So I use that as an opportunity to find another job, found a position at a sister company, and was getting ready to change jobs. And then the offer got pulled at the last minute. So I was without a job for about a month. And I put some feelers out. I was talking to some connections, seeing if there was anything available in this space. And I got an email out of the blue from a former colleague that was actually at the job that I was going to. She worked there up until recently. And she said, hey, I'm in the same boat as you are. I'm looking for work, and I just interviewed for a position, and I don't think it's really the right fit for me, but was wondering if maybe you'd be interested in it. So I said, yeah, I'd love to take a look at it. So she recommended me for the position and sent over my resume and details. And uh, I was kind of a shoe-in for the position at that point because it hadn't been posted anywhere.
Yeah.
They had just the previous person had just quit. So it just kind of all worked out.
That's awesome, man. I just talked to a guy yesterday who told me that number one advice is that relationships matter, and it looks like that applied to you and the job there.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You hear it all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge advantage, especially people like to hire people by recommendation. They like to hire people that they know. And it was just a lot easier to get my foot in the door and say, oh, you were recommended by Chrissy, and Chrissy knows, so it was a whole chain of people knowing people. And that was really a huge leg up and a huge advantage.
Yeah. These days, social proof is the best proof, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Hey, so I just always ask a couple questions. You kind of answered it, but what made you want to go into marketing in the first place?
Well, I've always had a lot of creativity. As a kid, I like to do arts and crafts. I like to make little greeting cards. And I was the kid that was sitting out in my dad's office during the summer, like playing on Microsoft Paint. And so I've always had an aptitude for graphic design and marketing stuff. And I really didn't realize how deep my passion was until I started working in the field. I think that was a great proving ground for telling me, okay, this is what you want to do. Because up until that point, I had kind of dabbled with what I wanted to do. A lot of people going into college, they have no clue what direction they want to head. And I was kind of in that same boat. I thought about maybe becoming a teacher. I did a little bit of substitute teaching. I thought, that might be a possibility. But I figured out that it really wasn't for me. Thankfully, I figured out early. But I think, a combination of having already, liked doing that and then kind of diving in headfirst into the field, that's really what propelled me to get where I am now.
Hey, that's great advice. So, since you kind of, you got out of college, you got your new job there. So what's one of the first things that you learned or had to learn really quickly as you got into marketing? Something that you didn't expect, but you had to pivot. Is there any advice that you can give?
Yeah, I think the biggest change for me was being kind of a one-man team, a one-man show. Coming from already a really small team. We had a team of 3 at the bank, but there was a support system there. I worked in admin, so there was the executive management team and all the people that go along with that. Going from that, a team of 3 down to a team of 1, my direct supervisor, he's the director of outside sales, and he's on the road for 3 weeks out of the month. So I'm lucky if I see him, a few times a month. So independence and self-reliance are really important. You got to be able to make executive decisions. And I'm thankful that the company that I'm at now has kind of empowered me to make those on-the-fly decisions. And when I interviewed and started the position, they said, you're going to kind of be it. So you got to be comfortable with kind of doing it yourself and making those decisions. And also, I guess a piece of advice is don't be afraid to ask questions. Because I've been in the job for over 6 months now, and I'm still learning stuff because my predecessor was only here for a year, and then I'm not sure what the situation was before then, but there wasn't a lot of stuff written down. There weren't really policies and practices in place. So it was kind of like ask questions about how it was done previously, and then kind of develop your own way of doing things and make the position your own. So a little bit overwhelming at first for sure, but baby steps, things have gradually gotten better and easier. So
yeah, and it helps that you have an entrepreneurial spirit there too.
Yeah, it really does. I'm used to I'm an only child. I'm a little bit of a loner, so I'm used to winging it by myself. So
nice. Okay. Any recommendations on books or podcasts or YouTube channels that newly minted marketers should follow or read?
Honestly, I don't read a ton of stuff marketing specific. I I kind of trend toward more of the creative side. I'm a maker. I like to make things with my hands. I don't know if this is really an on the nose or on trend recommendation, but if you like YouTube channels and you like watching videos about creative people and makers, I would check out the I Like to Make Stuff YouTube channel. I don't know if you've heard of them. A guy named Bob Claggett. He makes, he's a woodworker, but he does a lot of other projects. And I draw a lot of inspiration from him and his team. So that's definitely one thing that I would check out.
Okay.
I do like Morning Brew. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a daily newsletter. They also have a newsletter called Marketing Brew. That's specifically for marketing industry folks. Both of those are great resources. And that's just like a daily kind of a daily highlights thing. You know, you can skim it in about 5 minutes, but you can kind of see what's going on in the industry, and it's really helpful.
The Morning Brew and the Marketing Brew. I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Hey, Gary, I'm gonna let you go back to work. Okay. Thanks so much for your time. Always stay connected if you want. If you have any questions, let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great talking to you.
Yeah, and I'll write something up. I'll try to post about my interviews every Friday. So I'll post one this morning and I'll post something about ours next Friday.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Okay, take care, my friend.
All right, you as well. Have a nice weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.